Bonjour, mes amis, et bienvenue. Kat and I are back in Paris once again to bring you the next official World's Fair Expo in this apparent four-part battle between London and Paris for who is the best at hosting the world.
I am proud of your attempt at French right there.
Thank you. I think it actually went pretty well because I kind of knew that French.
Went okay, yeah.
I promise, though, next Expo we will be seeing new sights. We actually won't be back in France for at least 10 years in the timeline.
Wow, okay.
But we are here now, so we may as well enjoy medieval France while we can before it's ripped apart to make way for the new in 3 years. And wow, did they come to slay the records.
Oh, boy.
So, as usual, we'll start with some stats and then go into the fun.
All right, hit me with it.
April Fool's Day, 1867, saw the opening.
They opened on April Fool's Day?
Yep.
Was it April Fool's Day back then? Did that exist? Was that a thing? Because that would be hilarious if that, if it was an intentional lie.
I can't remember when April Fool's Day started.
I'm Googling. When was April Fool's Day invented? Sure. 1582.
Wow.
Some historians speculate, according to History.com, some historians speculate that April Fool's Day dates back to 1582 when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar.
Huh, so they probably, they freaking opened it on April Fool's Day.
Wait, that's funny. Okay. All right, sorry, continue. That's my side tangent.
Well, yeah, so it was opened with a 42 country exhibited exposition that was held on 170 acres of expo grounds.
That's a lot of grounds.
And once again, it was our friend Napoleon III who decreed this expo, and he was not gonna blow it like the last one.
All right, we're here for a redemption arc. Let's go.
Yeah. So it was a member of the American branch of the Bonaparte family, Jerome Napoleon Bonaparte II, who was appointed the head of the commission to run the event.
Okay.
He was the previous emperor's grandnephew on his grandfather's side.
Nepotism. Gotta love it.
Yep. So I'm like, why would you choose the previous the guy who you pretty much killed and showed off to Prince Albert and Queen Victoria? You chose his fucking descendants to run your freaking thing?
I don't see how this could possibly go wrong. Let's
whatever.
Full throttle. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, they chose the military parade ground, which would become known as the Champ de Mars, as the site chosen. And brand new structures were once again built to house the exhibit spaces. Yay!
Always brand new structures. Use the same ones. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Well, this included a massive main building with a center pavilion garden, and then nearly 100 smaller buildings surrounding it.
This is so much construction. This is so much. For what?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. 100. Okay.
Yeah.
So, when you say 100 small buildings, are we talking outhouse, little, snack shacks? What kind of buildings are we talking about here?
I think a little bigger than that.
Okay,
I didn't
bigger
get the sizing
than that.
of them, but yeah, there was 100 buildings. It had to fit over on 170 acres of grounds.
I mean, that's a good chunk of ground, though. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The 42 countries represented made up over 50,000 exhibitors, with 15,000 of those being from France, 6,000 from the UK, 700 from the USA, and a small amount from the about-to-be newly confederated Canada.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be coming up then, wouldn't it?
Because exactly 2 months after the expo opened, we celebrated the official confederation of our country. And I hope we had a full ceremony at the fair. And basically said, fuck you all. We're having a big celebration party over here because we're in our freaking country.
We're getting acknowledgement. Look at us. We brought enough bacon and maple syrup.
For everyone. All 50,000 of you.
Oh my God. I don't even know what else. Okay.
So, of course, all of this had a price. And a big one.
Mhm.
A good portion was raised by the public, while grants were given by both the Paris government and the French government. But there's
Okay.
apparently a deficit in the reports, and they're apparently fudged around to make it look like there was a gain.
Oh no. Oh,
So
that's a
we
problem.
won't really know the real money, but the estimated figures that I found show that they spent over 22 million francs and brought in 26 million francs altogether from their fundraising, grants, and admissions.
Oh my god. Okay, so hang on. 22 million and 26 million. So 48 million
They
total?
spent over 22 million
and
then
like,
brought in 26
See,
million.
okay, so the profit is like 4 million francs.
Yeah.
After spending 22.
But we don't know what the actual real money is
because they cooked the books.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So 9 million francs of this was in admissions, as it's estimated that about 15 million people attended the fair through the 6-month run.
Okay.
Which is huge numbers after what we've been hearing.
Uh-huh. Okay. Lots of people.
Yeah. The theme of this expo was basically the history of work.
The history of work, like labor.
Yes.
Like, okay.
So
it seems very broad, but
a lot of exhibits ended up revolving around either the history of labor or the future of labor. You still had some of the more extravagant art, of course, as people wanted to be wowed, but the more serious side was definitely about how to make people work better.
I was hoping for automation, to be honest. That's not, I don't know. That could go into concerning directions.
But it did also boast a ton of new and exciting forms of transportation that helped guests get around the expo grounds as well as the city itself. So kind of like think of like Disney World with like the bus lines, mini ferries, the monorail, and the SkyTram. But much older and almost more fun.
That's fair. I was gonna say I love how you use Disney World as an example, as though I've been there. But I get what you mean.
I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it though, like on like YouTube. Like okay, Kat, we gotta get you watching YouTube videos and shit about Disney World to see all these really cool things.
I don't really watch people, like, the only time I ever watch people, like, exploring Disney World is when we're watching together, dude. Like, that's kind of it. I mean, I assumed as much that there was, like, buses and trams and stuff. I've seen, I'm sure, pictures probably of, like, them existing. I kind of, like, because it's a big enough place, but... Yeah, I didn't know there's so many, honestly. I just thought
there's like a ton of things. And then like you also used to have like the people mover and
what's the people mover? That sounds
it's basically like
title.
So it's now like a attraction ride. But it was basically like a monorail like or a SkyTrain idea, but like a little car that people would sit in and it would move people around. So people mover.
Sounds better than what I had in my head. As soon as you said people mover, I imagined like a big crane just like reaching down and scooping up a person and then plopping them down.
It's not like the alien vending machine. Like we're not doing a claw machine or anything with people.
Yeah, like a claw machine.
No.
Okay. That's comforting.
All right. So you had the bateau mouche, which were the boats capable of carrying 150 passengers up and down the Seine River. There were new railway lines that were specifically built around the outer edges of Paris and the Expo ground.
Okay.
And then you had the best form of transportation and sightseeing possible. The famous photographer Nadar ran a section with 2 massive double-decker hot air balloons called the Géant and the Céleste, which could take up at least 12 people at a time to see the entire fairgrounds in Paris. Last time I checked, Disney does not have hot air balloons at this time.
Yeah, that's fair. Hot air balloons, that's cool.
Right? I'm like, I would happily go up in and do that. Like, that'd be fun.
Yeah, totally. I'd do a hot air balloon.
Right? But people were not there for the hot air balloon rides, unfortunately. They were at the expo for the absolutely insane exhibits. First, let's take a look at 2 exhibits that fit the theme to a T. One of the galleries was literally called the Gallery of Labor History.
Okay. That sounds so thrilling. Please, what was in the gallery of
Well,
labor history?
it held the first prehistoric tools, which were the first to be authenticized in support of theories of working classes in history.
Okay, you know what? Solid. That is
So
actually
it's
kind of
actually kind of cool.
Okay.
And then at the edge of the expo grounds were 4 houses that were built by an architect under the direction of Napoleon III in order to show society that houses for the working class could be built both decently and affordably, while also at a profit for the building agencies.
You know what? I respect that a lot, actually.
As I'm like,
More
okay,
affordable
you know what?
housing.
Yeah.
Yes, please. That sounds great.
Like, please. Like,
Yeah. No, that
build
sounds
them
fantastic. That's
decent houses that are affordable for them to pay for. That
I like
will
that's a
actually
priority.
give like the building people a profit so that they'll actually fucking do it.
Yeah. No, I support this.
Then you had your usual exhibits of random things that don't fully fit the theme. A completely boring one to me, at least, was a French explorer who brought a display of over 450 dried useful plants.
Okay. Dried useful plants.
Yes.
Like tea or like, because I see tea, spices, right? Okay, those are plants that are dried and useful. What else could possibly, like pigments? Like, what kind of useful are we talking about here?
I mean, they didn't give like a lot of examples of them, but a couple of them actually were kind of interesting. Once I actually looked at the actual plants that were actually there, that they gave me examples for. I don't think I would have been interested in 450 of them, but
that's a lot.
The couple that I got examples for, I was like, okay, a couple of you I would probably be interested in, but I couldn't handle 450 of you.
I would browse past that section. I think I would read a couple and I would just kind of like.
I think I'd probably skim the 450 of them and be like, which ones actually look interesting if they actually knew what they actually were doing. I don't think that they actually had all of the information on them at this time that we have now.
Right. So they're like, this is useful somehow, but not necessarily actually clarifying how or why. Yeah. Okay, that sounds tedious.
Yeah. So one of these plants is called Taberninth ibog, and it's actually found in Central Africa. So it's a powerful stimulant and hallucinogen, which is used in African.
Useful. Got it.
So it's actually used in African medicine practices.
Okay,
and
solid.
Today, one of its common compounds, alkaloid iboagine, is being experimented with as a cure for heroin and other addictions.
Fascinating. Okay.
And then one of the other ones that I saw is a plant that was actually used to poison darts and arrows.
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm down for some of these. Like, those are actually kind of useful, but I don't know if they fully knew about them at the time.
Useful. Yeah. Okay, so poison and hallucinogenic that now we're discovering uses for. Yeah. But I have, like, useful is a fun term, isn't it? Because useful can mean pretty much anything you want it to mean.
Yeah. Well, this display ended up winning 2 awards, apparently, during the fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well done. Well done to the useful plants.
Yeah. Visitors were also treated to displays of the Americans' newest inventions with the telegraph technology.
Ooh.
These displays included a couple of speeches by Cyrus Field and Samuel Morse, which honestly I would have loved to attend, as the ideas behind some of these technologies kind of sound interesting, and I'm curious as to how the speeches would have been. Like, if there actually would have been, like, good speakers, or if they would have been, or if it would have been like, oh my god, you're boring as heck, and can you just stick with your inventions, please?
Like, yeah, maybe just go back to the office and let the speaking go to someone else.
Yeah. So another one of the exhibits was the camel stables.
The camel stables?
Yes.
As in, like, okay. So how does this fit with the theme of labor?
I mean, camels are labor.
I mean,
so
sure.
One of my sources has a list of all the exhibits with, like, first-hand accounts from the exhibits.
Oh, yeah?
And this is kind of one that I kind of want to read part of to you because it's horrifying when we think about how we treat and think about animals today.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Hit me with it.
Remember, everybody, that this is from the 1800s. That this is a first-hand account from somebody from the 1800s. This is
immediately. I'm assuming the camels are being abused.
This is not our our take, etc.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
Just because we're reading what someone said doesn't mean we support what they said.
What does this camel stable want from us? Do the camels have a shelter? They live in the open air, under the sun and under the stars, accustomed to all kinds of fatigue, carrying all kinds of burdens, stocking up on water in their goiter to cross the great and hedicious deserts, grazing on a few tough shoots of dwarf palm or a few tufts of even tougher esparto grass.
Okay.
As I'm like, yes, of course they freaking have shelters. They don't just
yeah
have the sun beating down on them at all times and they survive.
This is a almost fantastical idea of what like life for a camel in the desert would be, because it sounds like they're just assuming that they're just like, I don't know, like barely surviving. Like, oh yes, if humans didn't intervene, camels would have such a hard life. And it's like, they're built to live out there. They know how to find what they need. Like,
yeah. All right, continuing.
I don't know. Yeah.
Stables. It is good for horses, these friends of man. The Arab horse lives in the tent, pampered by the family. His flanks sometimes bleed under the sharp spur of his rider, brutal even in his affections, but at least he has the tasty barley and the soft woolen blankets to quench the sweat of his long runs. As for the camel, it has nothing but ill treatment. It was born, like the donkey and the mule, for an opposite destiny.
Oh no, okay.
It is true that the constant bad temper of the camel is truly impatient and ends up annoying your nerves. I have seen in a hot sun and after a long walk, drivers irritated by its persistent grumbling, picking up a handful of burning sand and throwing it with fury into the gaping and beastly mouths of these poor exhausted animals. Nothing has ever made me more indignant and revolted. But what do you want? These camels themselves protested against me when I took their side.
Yeah, because they're wild animals, bro. Like, what do you mean? Like, this wild animal didn't, like, thank me or respect me after I said that we shouldn't abuse it. So I'm gonna stop defending it. It's an animal. What do you want?
It has been said that the sounds of music have the power to calm the camel and make it obedient. I do not deny that the melancholy sounds of the Arabian chatter, purified by the wind, have a gentle and softening effect. But Arabian music, strictly speaking, has never calmed anyone, not even the camel. Its monotonous rhythm, but irresistible in the long run, is rather made to kindle furious intoxication.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What? That's so, like, bro.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It is not so at the Champ de Mars, and for vengeful affection that I bear for the victims, I am quite happy to see the camels take their revenge here by monopolizing for themselves all the honors of the reception.
So, I'm conflicted.
I know, I'm like, do you care about the animals or not?
I'm so confused. Like, he almost sounds pro-camel, but he's, like, so misguided about, like, everything that I don't know how to feel anymore.
But then I'm also like, okay, do not think, moreover, that the camel does not have certain compensations with regard to man, even in the desert. The first is to tire the mahout enormously who rides and oppresses him. Nothing is harder than the trot of a camel. To resist it, one needs more than a habit, a grace of state. After having made the rough but short experience of it, I sincerely pitied the women who are hoisted on their back in a sort of closed canopy, and who thus accompany in the longest races their master and lord, mounted on his horse. The horse in Africa is the privilege of the man. The camel, in the absence of a mule, is good enough to carry the woman.
What the fuck? I'm
like, okay, are you now also against women? Like,
I have so many questions. I'm like, wait, what team are you on? I'm so confused about where this guy stands on everything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so wait, so hang on. He was just saying that it's hard to ride the camel, and he feels sorry for the women, but it suits the women to ride the camel?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm picking
The
up?
camel, in
Like,
the absence of a mule, is good enough to carry the woman.
In the absence of a male, the camel is good enough to carry the woman, but he feels bad for the women hoisted onto the camel because of the way that it moves.
Yeah.
So is it or isn't it then? Because it doesn't. Because like, I'm confused.
Yep.
I am a confusion.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That sounds like a whole lot of opinions.
A whole lot of opinions, and I'm kind of like in horror as to like the treatment of these poor camels from everybody. Like, it seems like everybody's like
Yeah.
mistreating and looking at the camels in like the wrong fucking way. Like,
I'm just confused about how they're treating the camels. Like,
Yeah.
are they treating them well or not? Because he's saying that, like, yeah, the horses are treated well. Sometimes they bleed because of the spokes that.
yeah, like how the hell is that being treated well?
Wait, but then they're saying they're being like treated well, and I'm like, I don't think that that's what that means.
Mm-mm.
Like, your spurs are not supposed to cut the horse's skin. Like,
No.
that's not ideal.
No.
But they're being treated well, though. Like, I don't really know
Because they're being
what standard.
because they're being treated afterwards, and apparently the camels are not.
That's concerning.
So
But that is
apparently
concerning.
abuse and then treat, okay. Abuse and then no treat, not okay.
I have so many concerns. That's yeah.
As I'm like, what the hell is this? I am so confused. I do not like anybody in this.
That sounds extremely toxic. That's awful.
So
I know. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, comparing it to like modern standards, that's horrific.
Yeah.
And this guy probably thinks that he's like the
he probably thinks he's the hero.
Yeah, he's like donned himself as like a beacon of charity for these camels. Like, I stood up for them, and then the camels snapped at me. And it's like, yeah, because other humans were abusing it, and you are in fact a human. It doesn't know what you're saying. Like, I don't like.
Well, and you're probably still abusing it. It's just that you're trying to then treat it afterwards.
Yeah, your standard of whether or not like something is being abused is very skewed, my guy. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do with this information, man.
No. So with that horror aside, let's talk about some lasting impacts from this.
So many concerns.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Lasting impacts from the fair.
Yeah.
Leaving Camel Guy behind. Moving on.
Let's just leave Camel Guy behind, and we'll just ruminate on that, and hopefully at some point figure out an answer to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So this expo was the first time that Japan took part in a World's Fair.
Ooh, go Japan.
Their art that they showed off absolutely wowed everyone who entered their portion of the venue, including one artist in particular. So Vincent van Gogh actually purchased a lot of art from this showcase, and
nice.
He was a leader in the French Revolutionary movement of art that created a whole new art style / inspiration term based on Japanese art from their experience at this fair.
Cool.
So this term is called Japanism, and mainly focuses on the wood block print art that was the most popular with the French population from Japanese art.
Very cool.
So it kind of started here in France and then moved to the rest of the world, which we're going to talk about a little bit in the next episode. But it's basically so like architecture in France, furniture, design styles, etc. started to bring in Japanese art to basically decorate France.
To like decorate a space. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Because they really were like, oh, we love this. And Japan was like,
this is, yeah.
And I was like, well, we see you. We're going to do stuff with this.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And so that's called Japanism.
Japanism. That's
so uniquely named, you know.
It's such a unique name. I wonder, because you said it was like a block art, like
they're a block print art that is like one of their older styles of art. Yeah.
cool. Okay. Because I was gonna say I'm certain that the Japanese had a name for this style beforehand.
Well,
That we
it's
could have
it's
just
the
used.
so basically this is the taking of Japanese art and bringing it into other cultures is called Japanism.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like borrowing the techniques and stuff.
Borrowing the techniques and borrowing just like the art itself and bringing it over. Yeah.
Got it.
So basically,
Okay.
they would actually take Japanese art and then put it onto new furniture and put it into like
Okay.
a French home or whatever, right? So it'd be like a French
Gotcha.
style of furniture, but it would have Japanese art on it.
Got it. So you're mixing the two things, and
Yeah.
that's what this new term is
Yeah.
covering. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
So Jules Verne also attended the 1867 World's Fair in Paris.
Somehow it doesn't surprise me. Seems like that would suit him very well, actually.
Where he experienced a public display of electricity. This
Interesting.
discovery of electricity with the rest of the public triggered something inside of him and helped to inspire one of his greatest pieces of literature ever. The model of the French submarine Plunger at the expo probably helped just as much as well.
Nice.
Yes, we are talking about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
20,000.
Shut up.
2,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's not very far.
Which started its serialized run in the Magazine d'Education et Recreation from March 1869 until June of 1870.
Nice.
In 1873, a reverend translated the texts into one English manuscript, removing a pile of content and making a ton of errors in his translation.
That's not ideal. I was looking behind me because I was just checking my bookshelf, because I was like, I think I have that one. I do. I can see it over there. Yep.
So the most true to the original translations are likely the Miller translations from 1966 and 1993, or the 1998 Butcher translations. And there's also two newer translations from 2010 and 2017, which I have not had a good look at yet, which also look quite promising.
Huh. Okay. No, mine is the what's it called? The Vancouver Sun Classics Collection.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if that one would be the full translation then.
I have no idea.
Yeah. If anyone is familiar with Paris and the history of the city, then you are aware of the fact that Napoleon III was very much about the revitalization and making Paris look nicer than it did during the French Revolution.
Make Paris great again?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, quite literally. Yeah.
Whoop.
So this fair took place around the end of the revitalization of the city, where the working class felt very much like they were being pushed out of the city. Yeah. Which they basically were. But Napoleon III tried to show that they were just as important in order to quell any more possible revolutions, since there are already two of them that killed a good portion of his public.
France does love a good revolution.
Yeah, well, actually, the second one that happened, because of this revitalization, killed like double the population of Paris than the whole French Revolution did.
Oof.
The original one. Yeah.
Those are big numbers.
Yeah. Yikes. It was not good.
Not ideal.
Yeah. So this fair actually did end up to being pivotal for the workers, as reports from around 120 of the lower class were compiled so that the government could see what issues were arising. These issues were actually kind of taken seriously in the years to come, as France slowly started to work towards a better social class status for everyone.
Points for listening. Bonus points for listening.
Yeah. So to close this episode, let's take a quick look at our Canada at the World's Fair segment, shall we?
Yay, Canada.
So I did find it, again, fairly difficult to find a lot about Canada here.
Fair enough. Actually, we weren't even quite a country yet at this point.
Yeah, we were still kind of in our Confederation stage.
We're so close.
But I did find an oddly specific resource on Nova Scotia's geology section at this fair.
Cool.
Specifically, our gold!
Okay.
The first official discovery of gold in Nova Scotia was in 1858, causing the first real gold rush in Nova Scotia, with over 600 men flooding the area by 1861, looking to get rich ASAP.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Between 1896 and 1942, there would actually be 2 more gold rushes in the area, but we'll be looking at the gold from this original gold rush at this particular fair. So the largest piece shown off at the fair was a 5-foot-high pyramid made of gold plating to illustrate the amount of gold that had been mined from January 1861 to September of 1866, which was approximately 85,000.
Okay.
At the time, that much gold was worth 1.6 million US dollars, or 28 million US dollars today.
That's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold.
To put that into even smaller perspective, an ounce of gold at the time was worth $19.50, or $1,600 today.
That's, I mean, even just like my brain, as soon as you said like $19, I was like, that's not bad. And then you put it in today's terms, and I'm like, right.
Yeah. We needed to go find like a few ounces of gold, and we're good for a bit. We can pay rent.
Seriously, what the hell? That's a lot of gold, dude. Like, that's a lot of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also had a section at the photography exhibit space, apparently, which included botanical photography, bookbinding demos, fine art, and approximately 200 other pieces of photography.
Yeah.
So the space was, of course, devoted to Britain and her colonies. So we hadn't gone out of our shadow, even though we were becoming a full-fledged country and gaining our independence.
We were almost there.
But we were trying to display our country's character and narrative through our images in gold. I mean, our gold might have helped.
I mean, it probably did.
They're like, hey, let's go to Canada. They got gold. Fucking Christ.
There was already a gold rush. We may as well just, like, pile onto that.
And we hadn't even fully, like, hit BC yet.
Yeah, seriously.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool. I mean, gold is a better display, I will say.
Than bacon?
Than bacon and maple syrup, yeah.
I'd say it's worth a lot more than the bacon.
Yeah, I mean, that too. Yeah, no, I feel like it just bringing just like a bunch of gold and being like, look, we have so much gold, we can do this with our leftovers, is like a lot more of like a convincing argument as to the success of a country than we have bacon.
I mean, we could build a 5-foot pyramid, so to show and go like, look, this represents the gold we have mined.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, I feel like that's a much better representation.
Yeah.
Of like the successful economy of a country than bacon and maple syrup. But
don't forget our 90-pound carriage and our 17 newly legal textbooks.
Yeah, right. Can't forget about the newly legal textbooks. Yeah. I mean, fair play.
All right, so we shall jet off somewhere new for next time. We can get out of London and Paris for a bit. Go somewhere far, far away. We're going to go 1,034 kilometers, or 642 miles, as a plane ride to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're heading to Vienna, Austria.
Ooh, look at us making it out of Britain and France.
Yeah, we're not going too far, but I mean, we're at least out of...
Hey, another country is in the game. That is progress.
It is finally progress. All right.
That is progress.
So yeah, we will see you guys all in 1873 next time on The Weird Side of History.
Bye.